Hello and welcome back to HateWatchers. Today we're just bringing you a quick video on our thoughts about Avatar 2, The Way of Water. Let's get right into the recap. And obviously, spoilers ahead. Following their victory over the humans in the first movie, Jake Sully has gone completely native and has a family with Neytiri. He calls the humans sky people now and says this human kid will always be a foreigner and he'll never belong with the Na'vi because Jake lacks even a shred of self-awareness. The bad guy from the first installment, Colonel Quaritch, uploaded his brain or whatever to an avatar before he was killed, because who the hell needs to spend time and thought on coming up with a new bad guy? He's leading a team whose mission is to eliminate Jake Sully, as he's a complication for the humans who have returned to Pandora. This time not just for mining, but to colonize. The strike team captures some of Sully's kids and their parents free them, but the team is able to make off with Spider. Spider is the annoying monkey-like adopted human son in this group. He's grown up on Pandora with the research team and is the son of the late Colonel Quaritch, which is a random shoehorned plot convenience. Now with targets on their backs, Sully and Neytiri's family leave the village so as not to endanger the others. They seek refuge with a different tribe of Na'vi in their seaside village. This tribe, called the Metkaina, have evolved and adapted to live in harmony with the sea. The kids struggle to master the way of water and to be accepted by the locals. One of the kids meets an outcast whale shark thing, and the two become friends and twirl around in the sea for about 30 minutes. Elsewhere, Spider is basically just a bad guy now, helping the humans track down Sully's whereabouts. A whole bunch of whale shark things return to the village and the people go apeshit over this. Quaritch's strike team question a nearby village before torching it. The humans show up on a boat and start bombing the sea and torturing the whales because there's zero nuance to these villains. They talk about how these whales are smarter, more thoughtful, and more spiritual than them as they drain a dead whale's brain juice. Quaritch takes 3 of the kids hostage and says he's willing to trade them for Sully. Before Sully surrenders, the outcast whale jumps on the boat and starts flopping around and killing everyone. The sea people charge and a battle ensues. During the battle, we see a grand total of 3 Na'vi killed, while they just annihilate the humans. This battle isn't the focus or climax of this movie, but it's dumb how uneven this fight is and how unthreatening the humans are. Sully and Quaritch end up squaring off during this whole 45 minutes, and the kids just go from being free to captured to free to captured again, and their whole presence is just really annoying. They find out that one of their brothers is shot when he randomly says, "I'm shot," and then he dies. Sully and Spider, who's back to being a good guy I guess, go to meet Quaritch, where Sully has to yet again trade himself for his children. He and Neytiri effortlessly kill all the humans and avatars on the boat. It comes down to a standoff where Quaritch threatens to kill one of the daughters and Neytiri threatens to kill his son Spider, who he apparently doesn't care about. Neytiri cuts Spider's throat and nothing happens, but then Quaritch relents. Realizing this will never end, and James Cameron probably won't come up with a new bad guy for the third movie, Sully fights Quaritch again, and eventually they both start to drown on the sinking ship. Sully chokes out Quaritch and leaves him at the bottom of the sea. Sully's remaining son rescues him, and Spider rescues Quaritch because James Cameron definitely won't come up with a new bad guy for the third movie. The same damn whale shows up to save Sully and his son. Spider saves Quaritch, who calls him son now, and then Spider leaves and it makes no sense, and it cements this monkey-brained kid's place as a stupid character. The sea people have a funeral for Sully's dead son. Soon thereafter, Sully says that they're leaving, and then the chief says this is your home, and suddenly he's not leaving now. Sully and Neytiri plug their tail genitals into this memory tree and they see their son in flashbacks, as a Sully voiceover says this place is their fortress now. The movie cuts to more scenes of the water creatures and the damn whales twirling around as The Weeknd sings some cookie-cutter song of his and the movie comes to an end. Well, this is the point in the video where we decided this movie was a great watch or a hate watch. This movie though falls somewhere in between the two, so we're calling it a debate watch. The simple reasoning for this debate watch designation is this movie will show you what you expect to see. If you're enthralled by the world of Pandora and are expecting to witness a top-tier visual spectacle, that's what you're going to see. If you're tuning in expecting to see an overhyped, bloated film with a lumbering generic story, then you'll get that as well. In short, Avatar 2, which is what we're calling it even if the official title doesn't have the number 2 in it, isn't going to change anyone's opinion of the Avatar brand and the world of Pandora. And it feels like it may be too little too late. This movie feels like it could have been good and relevant if it came out in 2010. In our circle, no one was talking about this movie during the run-up to the release, and no one is talking about it now. The general feeling around here is that most don't care if they see it or not, And that pervasive feeling is present from the very beginning of the film, where they show us all these spectacular shots and views of this fantasy world that we all just really don't give a shit about. The whole thing just emanates this super cringy feeling that James Cameron and James Cameron alone is the only person who's obsessed with Pandora, and we're just forced to sit and watch him play with his toys. Let's get to the good parts of this movie, because they can be covered in about 30 seconds. First off, the movie looks spectacular. Every scene is vibrant and detailed, and if you're just along for the ride, then it could be an immersive experience. The CGI is generally good. Maybe it's just us, but no CGI seems to be able to capture natural eye movement. The eyes always look lifeless and robotic. But other than that small detail, there's nothing to complain about here. In addition to the visuals, there were some pretty decent action sequences, even if we didn't care much about the stakes. And there's a lot of it. The final battle and subsequent conflicts last for almost 45 minutes. So yes, in terms of mindless entertainment, this movie does its job. Okay, now on to the fun stuff, the bad parts of this movie. First off, the writing here is incredibly childish and simplistic. This amateur-level generic story treats the world as purely black and white, good or evil. There's no nuance or complexity to anything. The natives are purely good and admirable at all times. The humans, on the other hand, are sociopathic, cruel, murderous assholes, hell-bent on making themselves look even worse at every possible turn. The majority of them somehow manage to make Colonel Quaritch seem likable by comparison. There's not a single redeeming quality to any of them. But what would you expect Hollywood to portray with a group of nearly all white antagonists? And when they finally get down to fighting, it all looks like a great big conflict, but if you pay attention, there's like 3 Na'vi killed in total, and 2 of those we're assuming died. One character that we know dies. On the other hand, not a human is left standing. From an objective standpoint, it was an absolute slaughter, and slaughters aren't interesting to watch. It's why you turn off a football game that's 42-0 at halftime. Also, the movie basically stops for an hour in the middle there to focus on this stupid teen drama going on with Sully's kids trying to fit in with the sea people. And maybe it would have been better if we gave a shit about these kids at all. We sat through the whole 3-hour movie and we couldn't tell you a single one of the kids' names. Couldn't even tell you the first letter of any of their names. The kids are boring tropes and stereotypes that just become liabilities as the movie drags on. Spider is a dumb, annoying character. The fact that he's a white kid with dreads is the least annoying thing about him. He's that bad. He changes sides at the drop of a hat twice and won't shut the fuck up anytime he's on screen. He's like an annoying sidekick in the video game that won't stop following you around. Speaking of bad hair, it's nice to see that we aren't suffering alone and Pandora has to put up with this broccoli haircut as well. The acting was nothing to write home about, if you can even call it acting. It's all just programmed and filtered CGI. As far as we're concerned, these movies are hardly anything more than animated films, no matter how badly they don't want to be considered as such. And Jermaine Clement was totally wasted in this film. Having him be a humorless science jockey with an American accent was such a bizarre decision. Why hire a comedic New Zealander to play this role that's better suited for literally anyone else? But even with all of those complaints, the good was still pretty evenly balanced with the bad for this film, simply because so damn much of it was just designed to show off the incredible visuals. Another positive of Avatar 2 is it isn't too concerned with getting the messaging across. Yeah, it touches on ideas like you shouldn't bully, and nature is important, and don't torture and murder whales. But it doesn't beat you over the head with it, and it certainly doesn't leave an impact because these aren't the most contentious of issues. Even if it doesn't fully achieve it, the film's goal is to dazzle and entertain, not to scold and lecture. And any film not wandering into preachy territory is a victory these days. All in all, this movie is a mediocre sequel released 12 years too late to benefit from any kind of momentum or goodwill. It's an awkward glimpse into James Cameron's singular obsession with a world that most could not care less about. It honestly wouldn't be worth discussing if it wasn't for the scale and budget of this film, and for the story and expectations behind the Avatar brand. Whether or not the Avatar brand and film series go on to achieve their desired successes, this entry will be washed away by the tides of our memory. Such is the way of water. Now, this movie is still going to rake in tons of dough, but it comes down to profit. And after production alone cost $460 million, it was always going to be a tough bar to clear. The opening weekend box office fell a little bit short of expectations, but still pulled in over $130 million in the US and $440 million globally. After factoring in the marketing budget, they'll probably turn a decent profit, but it looks like it will fall short of what they were all expecting it to earn. As always, we checked the Rotten Tomatoes score to get something of an idea of how the film was received critically. And of course, the first step there is flipping off and ignoring the critic score no matter what it is. Then we see that the audience scores put Avatar 2 at a 93%, which seems high. And when we checked Rotten Tomatoes before the film even came out, the audience score was at 93-94. So always take these scores with a grain of salt. Either way, we're giving the film something like a 6 out of 10. Let us know in the comments, what would you rate this movie out of 10? Did you care at all about whether or not this movie ever came out? Is there anyone out there that loves Avatar as much as James Cameron? Please drop a like on the video if you liked it, as it helps our videos reach more fans out there. And also, consider hitting the subscribe button below if you haven't already to stay tuned to the channel for comedy reviews and breakdowns of shows and movies. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll catch you on the next one.